break forth. The text opens up in a very, very peculiar way by saying, and it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. As a believer, it is very, very important that we understand, no matter where you are in your walk with God, whether you are an infant in Him or whether you've been in your walk with Him for decades, that there's always two things going on in you at the same time. For a lot of us, that's a hard place to get to because those two things aren't always good. There are often times where there's a good seed and an evil seed going on in you at the same time. And you know what's amazing about that is it appears that once you're saved and once you're a believer and once you're walking, everything should be good and all your thoughts should be godly thoughts and everything that you do should be a godly action. But the truth of the matter is there's always two things going on at the same time. And if you don't believe me, let's flip over to Romans real quick, because Romans gives us an indication of why we must first recognize what's going on inside of us before we're able to ever deal with it. See, most of us can't deal with the things that's going on inside of us because we won't even recognize or assess that they're even there. Romans chapter number 8, it says, verse 28, very familiar passage, it says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. For whom He did foreknow, He also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of His Son, that He might be the firstborn among many brethren. Here Paul is articulating to us that there's things that's happened in your life that's not ever going to be disconnected from where God is calling you to be. He said all things work together for the good of Him. Somebody say all.
All.
All by definition means inclusive of every, exclusive of none. Which means there's not one, as my granddaddy would say, John Brown thing that's happened in your life that God will not allow to work together for your good. See,
Thank you,
I don't know
Lord.
about you,
Jesus.
but that excites me
Yes.
all by itself because somehow
Hallelujah.
people will make you feel like God is only going to use the good decisions you made, the good stuff you experienced, all the positive accolades that you got to work together for your good. But I'm here to tell you that all things work together
Yes.
for the good.
Hallelujah.
And see, for me, this becomes even more important because Paul is a character that a lot of people would try to embrace the result of his testimony without understanding his journey. Paul wasn't just a preacher, but Paul was a convict too. Paul wasn't just somebody who stood before the people and articulated the things of God, but this was a man that went through some stuff. And see, for him to get to a place to say all things, that must have meant that there were some things going on the inside of him that he had to continuously battle. Well, preacher, how do you know that? Well, let's skip down a little further in the same chapter. Verse number 37 of the same chapter of Romans, it says, nay, in all these things we're more than conquerors through Him that loved us. Now, I'm going to have to take my time on tonight if you all allow me to, but just the fact that Paul says, nay, in all these things we're more than conquerors must mean that he had been in some situations that had tried to conquer him. The problem with some of us is we don't believe God is in the thing that we're going through, so we're so busy trying to make sure that He delivers us out of them. But see, God is not going to deliver you out of it until you learn everything that you're supposed to get while you're in it. Verse 38 says,